And now let's share this son of a bitch to all of the world.
How are you on the Megyn Kelly versus Chris Cuomo SmackDown? I'm really excited about that.
I spent some time with that last night, and I almost got to the point where I could give a shit, but I wasn't there.
You should have not given a shit about 2 sentences in, but
I should have tried. I tried so hard to give a shit, and I just couldn't. It wasn't there. It just was not there, no matter what would happen.
Thoughts and prayers to Corey Lewandowski.
Yeah, we're so sad for that guy.
Okay.
I hope everything works out for him. I'm ready when you are.
Yeah. All right. It is our final Brad and Britt cast for this week as we hit it here for you Thursday afternoon. And I'm not familiar with what we were talking about 2 minutes ago about a fast food odor crisis.
So this one comes from this is a website that you go to pretty frequently, and I don't go to as much, although I probably should a lot more. It comes to us from the Daily Mail, which is a pretty good, interesting place to be. And Donald Trump is a connoisseur of finer things in life, from fast food banquets to high-efficiency toilets capable of flushing away his horrifying fast food dumps. It's not surprising then that a sad post-election Donald John Trump would spend time reorienting himself around the things that give him joy, namely fast food. According to the Daily News,
this is a news dump, isn't it?
I see what you did there. I see 100% what you did there.
Yeah.
A source in the White House says that Trump has been stewing over Biden's win, and he begins by planning ways to keep contesting the election result, all while eating mountains of fast food with his pals. Insiders describe the atmosphere inside the White House as manic, exuberant, and toxic. The article says that some staff are lighting rose-scented candles in an attempt to soften the environment and to combat the smell of fast food delivered to the president and his inner circle, Brad.
Well, wait a minute. Hold it. So this really does have parallels to the last scenes in Scarface, where he has that mountain of cocaine in front of him. He's just shoving it in.
A mountain of fast food waffle fries, just kind of sticking his face into it, and then he's done. So apparently they're using Glade plugins. They're doing all sorts of things because the White House apparently stinks to high heaven from all of the nasty fast food that this guy is gorging himself on as he stews, and now apparently goes to war with Fox News. Apparently this is part of the story as well, which we'll get to later.
Oh,
He's stenching up the White House.
I sympathize with everybody who works in the White House. If you're around somebody who eats a lot of fast food and then just pitches it off to the side, particularly, and I found over the years that Wendy's was the of all fast food garbage that you can just say throw in a trash can if it's in the room that you're in. You've had it,
right?
I mean, it's like a toxic waste cloud, because this is personal baggage I've carried around now for almost 40 years,
right? Which
is when I first worked in radio in Columbus, Ohio. I worked with a guy named Steve Cannon. Steve Rosenberg was his real name, and Steve wasn't what you would call the best practitioner of personal hygiene.
All
right, and Steve and he was on before me. He was on from 6 to 11, and I was on from 11 until 3 in the morning. And I would follow him, and he would order Wendy's, and he would leave it in the trash can, the wrappers and everything. And when I would come into the studio, it was just disgusting. It was just horrendous. And I asked him a few times, could you please, put it outside somewhere? And he never made the adjustment. Never did.
Oh my
so
God.
One day, I took the contents of the trash can, and we had those kind of walls around the offices where there was an opening above them. So I just dumped an entire trash can worth of wrappers into his office, and it solved the problem. And it did not ruin our friendship. We were friends, and it was.
He didn't violently try to beat you up or anything of that nature.
No,
okay.
It didn't. He knew it. He knew I was right. As you've realized, I'm always right.
Always right. And then once you figure it out and come to you just kind of acquiesce to it. That's what happens. You kind of capitulate. Taco Bell, those wrappers and that stuff, that's pretty pungent.
Well, any of them, if you get the wrong one.
Golly, it just seems like I can't imagine what it would be like to have him go around there and just be pissed off and everything. And there's an Atlantic article now that says that his go-to comfort food, if you will, for these conspiracy theories and the bullshit that he tweets out is now the One America News Network. He's had a flirtation with them now. Now it's he's having an affair with them and bitching about Fox, basically, is what's happening.
See, this is kind of interesting stuff, but he's fighting right now to hold on to a position that keeps him immune from prosecution. That's all he's doing. And on January 20th at about 1 p.m, he's no longer president. And he doesn't have immunity anymore. And he is not going to be on TV anywhere. This is not going to happen. This is all, it's fun. But it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. It's Donald Trump talking big. I'm going to take down Fox. Oh, One American News Network. They've always been better. And Newsmax. Oh, those people rock. I'm going on with them all the time. It's bullshit. It's more Trump bullshit. That's all it is. That's all this is. And you know what? He'll be back on Fox 8 million times. He's broken up with them more than Liz and Dick did in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It doesn't. A dated reference between movie stars, sir.
That's Elizabeth Taylor, for those of you who weren't aware. Google her.
Yes. First big movie, National Velvet. Rode a horse.
She was just a child. She was just a child, just a baby.
Yeah. But that's what this is. This is not about speculating about Donald Trump's future. This is about the fact that he's fucking up the country right now. This is about the fact that Joe Biden is not allowed to talk or get messages from foreign leaders, which he gets anyway, which when it's disclosed that every important leader that's a friend of ours has said, congratulations, Mr. President-elect Joseph Biden, Trump's blood pressure goes up another 10 points, as if we're supposed to care. As if we're supposed to give a shit that he is getting upset over this. Fuck him. Just fuck him on this. And by the end of the week, and we're almost at the end of the week, you can see the breaking start among Republican senators who, as horrible a human beings as they are, as cowering and solicitous as they have been to Donald Trump, they know it's put up or shut up time. Is it your country or Donald Trump? And as bad as they are, they just may at the very end, we're at 1 inch from the tape at the 100-yard dash, and in the last inch, they're not going to let the country get into the situation where it was between Bill Clinton and George W. Bush, where they had the contested election with Gore, and the transition took longer than normal. And it's widely believed, and I think it's a fair assessment, that because of that clumsiness, it wasn't done on purpose by Bill Clinton at all, but because of the information gap, that's how information about 9/11 and plans for it might have slipped through. And we can't afford that now, and we can't afford it to assuage Donald Trump's ego. We can't humor him. If I hear that one more time, someone's going to get hurt. He needs to be humored. He needs to be slowly brought to the idea that, and then on the other side, you go, what the stories are, well, Donald Trump has really accepted this, but he's never going to concede. Fuck him. I don't care if there's a concession. I don't give a shit if he doesn't call. I don't give a shit if he shows up at the inauguration. I don't care about any of those things. I do care about the wheels of government continuing to turn on our behalf. And Ronald Reagan, fuck you. Government isn't always the problem. It is the solution to keeping us safe at this moment in time when we do have a lot of people around the world who like to fuck with us. And we have Donald Trump sitting there feeling bad, pretending that the election was stolen from him when it was not.
Right.
And just no. And I don't give a shit. He's going to take down Fox. I don't give a shit. I just don't give a shit. And I don't want to talk about it. This time I'm serious. I don't want to go through all the gossip shit about how Donald Trump feels about Fox News. I don't care.
I'll do something a little more substantial.
Anything else but that. I don't want to do it.
I'll do something way more substantial. Scott Baio pulled off a stunt at Michael's that sparked Donald Trump's attention, even earning him some praise from the president.
I saw this. Now, this is important.
This you'll talk about.
Yeah.
He's at a Michael's, Scott Baio is, and he has some mugs that have initials on them. Mm-hmm. So he spells out on 5 shelves, "Trump is still your president." He tweets that to Donald Trump, and this gets the president's attention, and he loves it and thinks it's the greatest thing of all time. He retweets it and says, "Thank you, Scott, and stay tuned. You are terrific."
Can I translate that for you?
Please.
It's over.
Is it
over?
Wait a minute, but Chachi is in the house on this, and Chachi said that he's still my president.
Did you see that crazy ass thing that John Voight put out? His little video. Oh my God! There
was an insane 2-minute video that John Voight and he's talking about the forces of Satan and how Donald Trump is protecting us against Satan, and how the Democrats want to take us to Satan, and how. It is one of the most bizarre things in the history of ever.
They should have hired Dana Carvey to do Church Lady. Talk about Satan.
It's an insane thing, and apparently, it's being among the 4 people that are still supporting Donald Trump. It's being praised as being so brave, and so they're being very reverential about it. And again, this is one of those things, Brad. You're not supposed to make fun of this because the Trump voters have to be mollified and humored, as you were just saying. And if Democrats and liberals do this, then they just don't understand the rural voters in America. That John Voight truly is the voice of some fucking idiot in Nebraska or something. And if you start making fun of that, you're going to lose white rural voters for another 2 generations.
Not quite.
This is the sort of thing that they say.
Well, you can suppose that they are saying that, whoever they are, but no. This is just noise along the road. All these stories, and this is why I'm sticking with my prediction that Donald Trump's last day on Twitter will be January 20th, 2021. They're going to toss him. They're going to kick him out. They should kick him out. He can scream all he wants. Maybe One America News Network can get him a special place on Parler or some half-ass imitation like that.
Actually, it's parlay. That would be parlay. It's a French word. It means to talk, and that's where they get parliament from. It's not Parler. That's what all the rednecks think out in Valdosta, Georgia. I'm going to join Parler because Twitter's come too liberal. No, I think this is
now you're putting me down.
I'm going to come over to your house. I'm going to have some Wendy's wrappers, and I'm just going to scatter them all over your house so that the dog rolls in them. He smells like Wendy's. So how's that going to feel?
And by the way, an empty Frosty cup. Oh, they don't age well.
Yeah, there's something in there that's just not found in nature. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but don't you think Frosties are really underrated? They are pretty good.
They're pretty good. And then
for like $1, and
I have to say,
satisfying. Yeah.
So yeah, I think all of this is kind of nonsense, and there always was going to be this moment where, look, there's going to be a wake up adult moment. I think it's going to come, from the military on January the 21st. The football, the nuclear codes have to go to somebody, and I think without question, there's not going to be any hesitation. They're going to go to Joe Biden. It's not going to be like, I'm not sure which way do we go. The old guy.
That's the thing. Everything will function as it is supposed to function. The certification of votes across all of the states will occur over the next few weeks. The Electoral College will not be screwed with by Republican legislatures. They will not go there. And Donald Trump will no longer be the president on January 20th at high noon. It's just going to happen that way. And there are not millions of votes that were shifted by some computer program. That's the latest one that they're making up. There's some argument, just complete, total bullshit. It's almost appropriate in a way that this is how it ends for him, that he was incapable. And we could have predicted this on day one if we would have thought to care about what's his last few weeks going to be like in office, that he would go out kicking and screaming and lying and classless and ready to break all the furniture in the room and burn down the house, and have gotten himself into so much trouble while he was in office that he's willing to supposedly do anything to destroy the country. If I'm going down, you're all going down with me, kind of thing. But it's not going to happen. It will not be allowed to happen. It doesn't feel like that right now. There are days where you go, holy shit, he really is going down the line with all these other autocrats in places like Venezuela and Hungary and Turkey and the Philippines. And he is exhibiting the personal characteristics of all of these people. But the difference is, and so far, this even goes to the electoral process that we have in this country, as scattered as it is, it's holding. The counts are going to hold. The recounts are not going to change the results of anything materially at all. They'll probably give Biden more votes. And the fact that he would try to go after Michigan, where the difference is what, 120,000 or 140,000 votes, is just laughable. It's laughable. Okay, there's no recount in American history that's gotten more than a few hundred votes to move one way or the other. That's why they fought so hard over the Al Franken race in I guess it was 2006 or 2016, or something like, a long time ago, because the difference that they were arguing was like 300 votes. It was a very small amount, but we're talking about 140,000 votes. So my question is, if it's worth fighting over the honesty of the election in Michigan with well north of 100,000 votes, why aren't you fighting over the difference in North Carolina? That's only 70,000 votes that you won North Carolina. Oh, I get it. You won North Carolina, so there couldn't possibly be any vote tampering. There couldn't be any computers spitting out the wrong result in North Carolina, only in states that you lost, right? Because the plotting was so intricate before the election, because George Soros knew which states were going to be different in their margins for each. It's so stupid, and not a shred of evidence is ever presented before every judge who laughs. Every one of these attempted, I'm saying the word attempted because they're not real cases, they're not real lawsuits, there is no evidence, before they laugh them out of court. And what I think the Trump game here is, if there is any plan, is to find one judge, one corrupt Donald Trump appointed federal judge somewhere, who will, in the face of the same lack of evidence, lack of a case, lack of any truth behind someone walking into court and saying, well, I have an affidavit from a woman who said that she was told boo on the way in, and that suppressed her vote. And the judge, the corrupt judge appointed by Trump, will say, we're going to have to reverse. You're going to give some kind of crazy ass oxygen to one. That's what they're looking for, don't you think? Because he's appointed enough judges, and
they quote unquote owe him something. They owe him because they were appointed by him, and at this point,
of course, they remember, they owe him nothing. They owe him nothing. They take an oath to the Constitution when they're sworn in as federal judges, regardless of who appointed them. They don't owe the president that appointed them anything, ever. That's how the system is supposed to be set up. But that being said, you're right. There could easily be one. For instance, there are a couple, and there was one just a few months ago, a completely unqualified goofball in Kentucky, a friend of the family, and I'm doing this out of memory, of Mitch McConnell, who got put up to be a federal judge. I think the guy actually got through.
Mm-hmm.
He was a bad, and so this is the kind of guy, he may have been going nowhere in his law career. And next thing you know, he wakes up, he's a federal judge. He's got a lifetime gig. Those are good jobs. I'm sorry. There's no other way to term being a federal judge. It's a good job. And that's the kind of guy that if they could get a case that doesn't exist, that's mythical, that's just thin air about the election in front of someone like him, maybe that's what they're looking for. What do you think? That's my philosophy.
That sounds to me that frightens me greatly. I mean, we used to make fun of the countries that you were just alluding to as being banana republics, but geez, if he's able to do something like that, and the guy was able to completely disregard any kind of law or precedent and keep this guy in office for 5 more seconds, or give, as you say, oxygen to these insane conspiracy theories. Yeah, that's kind of scary.
But just even playing that out, a federal judge would only be ruling on an issue in one state. And there isn't one state now that's going to take away the victory by, it's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But, we do have to think not just out, we have to think outside the box that's outside of the box on how crazy a would-be autocrat dictator, even in the world's oldest functioning democracy, might try to take down the system in order to supposedly save himself. And I was reading a piece yesterday, and the way we screw around with history is terrible. We know that. It's not always true. And it's a myth that Barry Goldwater and Howard Baker marched down to the White House and told Nixon, "You got to go."
Interesting.
Here's what they said to him. Here's what happened. They didn't tell him to resign. They said just very simply, "You have no support in the Senate anymore. You don't have enough votes to sustain you if you are impeached." That's all they said to him. But that's turned into, they marched down there and told him to resign, effective at noon tomorrow. So it is possible that there could be a point, and there should be a point, there ought to be a point, where Mitch McConnell walks down there and says, "You do not have enough Republican senators right now supporting you, and you're going to cost our party control of the Senate in January." I
don't think he cares. I don't think Trump cares about that. I don't think Trump cares about him.
It doesn't matter. They have to do that, though.
Mm-hmm.
They have to say that. They can't just allow this to be a slow drip over a few weeks. They probably won't do it. When I say they have to do it.
Well, this is where they have to, if Trump starts making plans to go to Georgia to campaign for those guys, for Perdue and Loeffler, right? If he says,
I don't think he's going to pull I'm going to show up anyway. But again, what am I thinking? I know. What am I thinking?
This is mother's milk. I need to meet my people. I need to see my people. And of course, as a Democrat,
one more rally.
As a Democrat who wants the Democrats to take control of the Senate, I'll drive him myself if I need to. I'll go up to Washington, D.C., and I'll take Donald Trump to Stone Mountain or to Albany or Savannah or wherever he wants to go for a rally. I'll be more than happy to have him go. That'd be the greatest thing of all time for the Democrats, to have Donald John Trump go to Georgia and start stumping for those guys. It's going to be counterproductive to everything. So yes, please, Donald Trump, if you're listening, if you've ever listened to our podcast before in any way, shape, or form, first of all, hi, you're doing a super job. Hang in there. And please go to Georgia immediately, right now. And let's start booking some campaign appearances for Loeffler and for Perdue, because this needs to happen, because these people are plotting against you. like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, maybe even the Clintons, they might be planning campaign appearances for Warnock and Ossoff. You have to head this off, sir. You have to immediately the devil needs to go down to Georgia right now, sir, if you don't mind me saying so. As you mentioned earlier, the New York Times is kind of highlighting this. There have been some breaks in the Republican Party. Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio and former Republican operative Karl Rove have urged the president to accept defeat. I want you to think for just a moment what you said a moment ago about the mythology surrounding the Barry Goldwater visit to Richard Nixon and Howard Baker going down. Barry Goldwater had been the very kind of symbol and sign of Republican extremisms for very much the entire decade of the 1960s. In your guts, you know he's nuts during that campaign in 1964, correct?
In your heart, you know he's right. Yeah.
So that was part of the entire thing.
Right.
And even he, as a radical right-wing crazy person, when it came time to tell Nixon what the score was, he told Nixon what the score was. And then Nixon, even as insane as he was at that point in time, went, well, I guess it is over. It is time for me to sign the piece of paper and get out of Dodge. Even at that point in time, right. The craziest of the crazy ass right. Republicans decided I got to go.
Right, but we're completely in. It's a different league right now. That was AAA ball compared to what's going on right now in terms of endangering the country and triggering some kind, apparently, of a wanted constitutional crisis by Donald Trump. By the way, this just in. Judge dismisses Donald Trump's libel suit against CNN.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Here we go.
I thought he was going to win one.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to happen. But these Republicans who are now coming around, they get no credit, right? They shouldn't, like Mike DeWine. He's a nice guy, whatever. But these are like the most. These are not really statesman-like actions, are they?
I saw DeWine on TV. And they're giving him way more than the benefit of the doubt in saying that he's saying that Trump ought to step aside, because they never say that. Every one of these people, every one of these Republicans who says Joe Biden should get all the intelligence right now, Joe Biden should be the beneficiary of a smooth transition, and Joe Biden got more votes apparently than Donald Trump, is always leavened by, but Donald Trump has every right to pursue all the legal challenges. That's not the point. And when you say that, you keep giving oxygen to him. You do. This is not about whether he has the legal right to keep filing lawsuits. I mean, this is the old, you can indict a ham sandwich taken to the billionth power, right? You can file a lawsuit against anything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And this whole idea of negative having to be proved, which is, we don't know that there's actual vote tampering. We don't know that there was malicious intent to change the election. But just because we can't find it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So therefore, it probably does exist. Can you prove that it doesn't exist? I mean, that's the basis of their arguments right now.
Absolutely.
It's like voter suppression. Okay, we know there's voter suppression. Well, I can't taste it. I can't smell it.
Yeah, it's not on a T-shirt.
So therefore, there really isn't. Gerrymandering isn't voter suppression. Closing voting sites isn't voter suppression. And now, forever, they're going to say, in the era of the greatest voter suppression whining by liberals and black people and people like that, we had the greatest turnout in American history. So there couldn't possibly be voter suppression, right? That's what they're going to say. They're going to say this. And just because they can and they will and they want to deny, and there's going to be more gerrymandering all over the country in all these states here in 2020 and 2021, because this is the 10-year mark. Every 10 years they get to do it, and they're not going to stop doing that. They're still going to try to pick their own voters. They're still going to try to segregate. Ohio. I have to keep talking about Ohio, but Ohio is so fucked up, it's unbelievable.
It seems like it.
It's so fucked. It's unbelievable. The 10 years in a row, and not one congressional flip of any of their districts. I think they have 13 or 14 seats. Not one ever changed, because they had it drawn so much that the Democrats were given a token number of seats and the Republicans dominated over and over again. And what did they do? They cut Columbus up into several different districts, because Columbus it's a blue city, like most large cities are in this country. And they did it with Cleveland, and they did it with Cincinnati. And that's how they're able to hold all these districts where they really have no business. There should be a liberal Democratic congressman representing Columbus, but there isn't. There should be, and that's how they do it. And that's how they did it in North Carolina. They did it with Greensboro. They did it with Asheville.
Yeah.
And in Raleigh, they give David Price a seat forever. He gets his seat.
That's right.
And the rest of it's a bunch of Republicans, right?
Talk about your token liberal. That's exactly what they decided.
There it is.
That's what it was.
Like, you never even hear that the guy's running, because he wins 80-20.
He does. That's right.
Because it's cut up for him very, very nicely. So no complaints. And, I don't see David Price. And this is now the both sides are in on this. I don't see David Price complaining about gerrymandering in North Carolina.
No, he's got it pretty good.
He's the beneficiary of it as a token Democrat in the North Carolina congressional delegation. So why rock the boat? I've got mine. Fuck you.
That's right.
That's what he says.
Oklahoma Republican Senator, and a guy you've never heard of before, James Langford, saying yesterday that he will intervene if the Trump administration has not allowed Joe Biden to access presidential daily intelligence briefings by the end of the week.
Let's see you do it. Let's see you do it. Let's see you intervene. What are you going to do? This is totally Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
And Yosemite Sam, where the Yosemite Sam keeps drawing the line in the sand. And Bugs Bunny steps over at one. Don't you do that? And he draws the line again.
Here's another line. Yeah. Right. Dad, burn it, tarnation.
What are they going to do to Donald Trump right now? It's too late. You should have voted to convict him and impeach his ass, throw it out of office a year ago. You've given in to him. We're in the 11th hour. And you've got a guy that just doesn't care. Think about this. He doesn't care about the country of which he is the president of. And by the way, he certainly has been proven right on the, and I hate to do the imitation, but I kind of have to here. November 4th, you'll never hear about coronavirus again. They'll stop talking about it.
It's worse than it's ever
that
been.
certainly proved to be true.
It's worse than it's ever been in this country. There's no question about it.
And at the rate things are going, we will be at 200,000 cases a day by middle of next week.
Mm-hmm.
By Thanksgiving, we'll be at 250, 300,000 cases. I mean, who the hell knows?
Could be pretty bad.
And now it's the war on Christmas is certainly now the war on Thanksgiving. If you're telling people not to gather together for Thanksgiving because we know that family members give it to family members, certainly extended family members are going to give it to family members. And then if you go really radical and say, well, you need to have it outside if you're going to do, oh my God, do you hate America? Do you hate America? And so, gee, we can have a culture war over that one. I mean, I have news for you. We're not doing Thanksgiving this year. I'm sorry. I hate that that's not happening. We do something every year. We have one or both kids come.
But you'll be on Zoom. You'll be on Zoom with the kids this year
for about a minute. Yeah, for about a minute. And you know what? That's just the way it is. We have to suck it up. We have to do what's ever necessary. And then Dr. Michael Osterholm of University of Minnesota. That's what Trump warned us about. They want to shut down the country. Here
story. Shutting down businesses and paying people for lost wages for 4 to 6 weeks could help keep the coronavirus pandemic in check and get the economy on track, according to the aforementioned Dr. Osterholm, who is a coronavirus advisor to President-elect Joe Biden. Osterholm, who serves as director, as you say, from the Center of Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota, said earlier this week that the country is headed toward COVID hell Cases are rising as more people grow tired of wearing masks and social distancing, suffering from so-called pandemic fatigue. Cold weather is also driving people indoors where the virus can spread more easily. A nationwide lockdown, says Osterholm, would drive the number of new cases and hospitalizations down to manageable levels while the world awaits a vaccine. He said this to Yahoo Finance on Wednesday. Is it realistic, though, Brad?
No, because we have a resistance level now of people in this country who listened to Donald Trump for the last 8 months.
Yeah.
And they believe him. And they believe it is their constitutional right. It's about their personal freedom to completely disregard public health measures that are necessary to help squash the virus, to bend the curve back down where it has to go. And it may be at this point, and you don't hear Dr. Fauci or any of them say this, they all say no matter what, well, we still have a chance to get a hold of it if we do all the right things. Well, we're not doing all the right things.
No.
It's getting worse. And every public example of stupidity, from that party at the Land of the Ozarks, remember that? Was that Memorial Day where all those idiots out there in Missouri were
right.
Every one of those events, the motorcycle event of morons in South Dakota. Sorry, I think you're morons who got together knowingly passing this. The thing in Tulsa that Trump did, where only 5,000 or 6,000 people showed up indoors.
It killed Herman Cain. It killed Herman Cain.
Killed Herman Cain. To every one of Trump's, every one of these things, it's turned out that it's been demonstrably true that these were super spreader events. And when you look at the heat map of the country now, it's brightest red right there in Minnesota, the Dakotas, Montana, down through Illinois, that whole Midwest area. It's bad here too. We've got a record number of people in the hospital now in North Carolina.
But the Midwest and the Plains states apparently are the new South.
But it doesn't matter. There isn't. It's everywhere now. It's official.
But if you look at places like the Dakotas and also in Montana, my God, it's miles and miles and miles and miles and miles before you ever get to a hospital. I mean, their ability to even try to help these people out in any way, shape, or form is limited anyway. I know even here, I'm not saying we're in great shape here, but the hospitals here are stretched thin as well.
I just want you to think back. You're old enough to remember, say, March of this year.
I do remember that, as it turns out.
And you remember at the very beginning of this, the good scientists and the good doctors, who at that point certainly weren't being listened to. They were just whiners and elitists. They were saying that every day that goes by that we lose in getting people to start to socially distance and wear masks and do the right things to try to not spread the virus, every day is a day we can never get back. And over a period of weeks, it's going to start to explode exponentially, and we may never be able to get a grip on it. Well, what happened? Everybody got a little bit tougher in the later spring, and we had things moving in the right direction. So you've seen the curve. It goes up, it goes down, and now it's going up way more than it ever was the first time around. So now we're operating from a much larger base of people spreading. And we know that there are, by a factor of 7, 8, 10 number of people who are asymptomatic, who are carriers and spreaders, who aren't sick themselves, who therefore may not be following social distancing and mask wearing protocols and are spreading it. And if they show up at your house for Thanksgiving and you just want to take their word for it, I'll give you an example. My wife and I, we're fine. We don't have it. Our kids are fine. They don't have it, but we don't know if they are asymptomatic. They may have picked it up last week and they could come here. And next thing you know, and that's why, okay, if we wanted to have them here and do something outside and stay away from it, we could do that, but it's not worth it.
No,
it's not worth it. We could suck it up for a year.
There's a lot of risk and not much reward.
There is, right. There's not a lot of reward because the downside is so horrible for it to happen. Both of us are now over the age, right? And there's just no reason to do it. And hey, look, did you see the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? They're going to do the balloons down one block. That's it. One and done. Yeah, it's sad. But that's the way it's going to be. You can't have 4 million people on Fifth Avenue in New York looking at a parade. You can't do it. Can't be done. You'd be stupid to do it.
Right. So some of the Republicans are coming around on this one, and I don't know exactly what the future may hold. Again, you think Mitch McConnell is the key to this? It's going to be him admitting that there's a problem and that Donald Trump needs to give up the ghost on this, or what?
I don't know how. I don't even want to bother to predict how Mitch McConnell is going to.
I have to pray that he's going to announce that he's going to Georgia to help campaign for these people. I have to pray that that's going to happen.
Send them a note.
I don't know how. I think David Perdue would probably be. I think he would maybe try to turn him down. But that Kelly Loeffler chick, I think she would totally 100% say, "Come on down." She seems crazy enough to go for it.
No Republican turns down Donald Trump.
That'd be the greatest.
You think about what you just said there.
If
he says, "I want to come," they're not going to stop him.
That would be the greatest thing of all time.
Right? He'll do it. He'll show up, and they'll pretend that they're thrilled to be seen with him. But you do notice that when he went around the country, hardly any local politicians ever showed up.
No,
to be seen with him the last few months. They didn't show up to be seen with him.
Well, because he sounded.
By the way, that turned out to be a good strategy. Republicans did very well in every race that you can think of, just about, except for president. That's the one that got lost. Wonder why? Hey, it's because Donald Trump showed up for Donald Trump rallies, and Donald Trump couldn't say no to Donald Trump, so it hurt him in the end, and he didn't realize it.
Corey Lewandowski, a Trump campaign advisor who has been working on efforts to bring lawsuits contesting the election outcome in several states, did test positive for the coronavirus Wednesday. A person briefed on the diagnosis said Thursday. These can never be official statements from the White House. It's always somebody in the media getting the word out, which I love. I think that there's also some sort of poetic justice to that. He attended a crowded election night party at the White House that at least 4 other people who later tested positive also attended. Mr. Lewandowski had been in Philadelphia for days since attending the event and believes he may have contracted it there, the person told.
Yeah, because we don't want to even think about the fact that when you're at an event where lots of other people come down with the virus, that you didn't come down with the virus because you were stupid enough to attend a no-mask event at the White House on election night. No, it was somewhere else. So to the very end, they're trying to absolve Donald Trump of the personal responsibility for being the most dangerous person in the history of the country. He's the biggest serial killer in the history of the, on HLN, they have, about 100 documentaries. They just rerun the same damn ones over again about the serial killers over and over again, or on that network Reels. Okay. Tonight it's Jeffrey Dahmer night. Okay. Then it's the BTK killer night. Well, they need to have one. It's Donald Trump poison president night, because he's killed hundreds, maybe thousands of people by spreading the virus further than it would have spread otherwise. Not that it isn't spreading without him, but he's been going around lighting little fuses everywhere that turn into big fuses and big bombs.
Look, I'm all in favor of blaming the filthy animals in West Camden of spreading all kind of viruses and stuff. But at this point in time, it's been clear there's 4 other people who had previously tested positive. It's Mark Meadows, it's Ben Carson, it's David Bossie, and then a White House political director, Brian Jack. So it makes more sense.
Yeah, come on. This is a duck that's walking like a duck and quacking like a duck, and it's a White House duck. Okay. What do you think he served on election night? You think it was all fast food? You think
how can it be anything else? I mean, that's the brand. Unless you just some of Jesus's chicken, some of that Chick-fil-A. And by the way, the waffle fries to me at Chick-fil-A have always been not good. I don't like them.
That is so overrated. I so agree with you.
I always think McDonald's has the best fries, period. Wendy's has great fries. Burger King has never figured out the fries, and I think the waffle fries are worse than any of those.
Yeah, it's almost as if they decided they had to do something different.
Yes.
So this is what they came up with, and it just is. They're always soggy.
They're
always, excuse me, in Donald Trump language, they're always flaccid.
they're not seasoned properly, and I don't understand why people continue. And they haven't bitched of all the great things supposedly to help out. They're so great at customer service. I can't believe people still love those waffle fries. The saving grace, as far as I'm concerned, for Chick-fil-A is those sauces. The Chick-fil-A sauce, the Polynesian sauce, all that shit is like everything else to me is so average at that restaurant. It has to be saved by the sauces.
You know what it's saved by? Being closed on Sundays. They're saved by Jesus.
Saved by Jesus.
Exactly.
And that's it. Enjoy your weekend. Stay dry, humans. As tropical storm, whatever this is, rips through.